it's been refreshing to move forward to it and see
The
more
must
champions
bans
come
especially falling away. The Cassidans and Vegars of the world, definitely not on the must ban list. Against Wayless though, one champion must ban. You'd think it'd be Ari given his pension, but it's the Cho'Gath.
Yeah, get the Cho'Gath away there. World Elite will ban that first. Rek'Sai, the first ban for LGD. Thresh coming in for World Elite now as well. I've seen a lot of Thresh bans recently, actually.
And just a lot of respect to PYL, who can do amazing things on that champion. I believe it was he who went to the mid lane and caught Dade as he flashed away from the Thresh. Such was his predictive powers from his Thresh. The Nidalee ban, we mentioned it. It was going to come out from one of the teams. It's on the red side. Makes sense. No Spirit Nidalee in the jungle.
Yes, he's going to have to go to a third string jungler, potentially a fourth if LGD really want to put the screws on and ban out the Jarvan as well. But Spirit just shown to be such a fantastic player, pretty much no matter what jungler he's playing on.
And when it was the old World Elite lineup with Ninja, with SDYZ, people said, all right, you want to beat World Elite? Ban Ezreal, Rek'Sai, and Nidalee. A lot of respect to the jungle. The Rek'Sai Nidalee part, that stays the same. Not giving away LeBlanc. We've seen a lot of blind pick LeBlanc coming through. Not a lot of champion pool necessary to deal with that champion. It leaves up the super tank, and why not take the most reliable of them all, Maokai?
Yeah, not going to go for his Silent Will Luca, but going to take Maokai. That's been an incredibly popular first pick in the LPL this weekend especially. LGD, they do have a couple champions to look at here. We'll see what they want to go for. Janna most notably open for PYL.
I mean, it's either Janna or Thresh. Obviously, the disengage flavor comes through with the Janna pick. That's going to be taken away. The Udyr hover. I actually saw Udyr in another region earlier today, so it's a possibility. I don't think it's going to be locked in. Probably just a shout-out. People, of course, watching and scouting those other regions. A completed bottom lane, though. That's at least what they're hovering.
Yeah, Akon with a smile. You know, no, I'm not going to go with the Udyr, but does take Sivir there for Imp. So back to Sivir, apparently, for this week. Sivir, Janna, the first two picks for LGD.
I mean, rotational play, that's what happens when LGD is completely on the top of their mark. They have the best rotational top laner, potentially in the world, in Akon. Makes sense to take Sivir then. The Sivir Janna rotations, so much movement speed available for both of them, despite the fact that on 5.4, Janna's selfish move speed has gone down. Still, of course, acts as a mobile captain's boots. Picks up the captain's boots, then it's just a ridiculous amount of movement speed when you're moving towards the Janna. And also doesn't really pigeonhole them into any comps. World Elite, 2 bans to the jungle pool. It's gonna be the Jarvan.
Yeah, and I want to see, I mean, Jarvan makes sense. It's Spirit's next best jungler here. Should be locked in by the looks of things unless he really wants to shake it up, but it is going to be Jarvan Graves, very aggressive second and third picks for World Elite.
I mean, a lot of mid-game power coming through from these three, the pick potential and the burst coming through from the collateral damage buckshot combinations. A lot of mid-game power, like you say. LGD, though, if they're going to place so much priority on the speed picks, you know they're going to be looking for synergy. It's going to be those engaged champions. Which ones will be? Hecarim is the most obvious synergy, so it's a likely pickup. Akon, though, that doesn't really necessarily fit the champion that we've seen more recently, and they're considering for now, with a decimated jungle pool, the Vi.
I mean, TPQ's actually played a lot of Vi and Rengar, so he's probably okay with the fact that that's what's left open here. Cannon would be kind of cool in this comp, but it seems like LG aren't going to go for it, and it is going to be Akon with that Hecarim, more of a flame champion, you have to think, and the Vi there for the jungle.
I mean, the Graves being the 525 range carry, Vi will be so threatening that now Graves will be very difficult if they try to siege. Already had 2 melee champions in the Graves. Sieging becomes so difficult when it's you have to respect the range of the assault and battery. So I don't mind the Vi pickup, especially with the likes of Rek'Sai and Nidalee not available, Jarvan taken away. You look down the lineup, they need some wave clear, and what's more reliable wave clear than the Victor?
Yeah, Victor's wave clear just really shown to be something else as far as mid laners go. Kind of interesting to see that Ahri's open, they don't want to take it, but it is going to be the Victor there for Shia, and Morgana going to be their support.
And look at Wayless, we know he loves to do this, he loves to go for the flare picks, he loves to pick the Z into Dade and do these sort of things. He plays with a lot of confidence, showing us some interesting champions. World Elite, of course, Ninja, the previous mid laner, loved a bit of a Nivea. It's not necessarily the AoE engage, but the Nivea wall would do interesting things. You have to think the Ahri, though, given that it's available. It has a great lane matchup against Victor. Diana does just fine, but Ahri would be by far the most reliable and also has a ranged auto attack, so helps you when you're sieging. Helps out the fact that they have the short range AD carry in Sivir, but obviously PYL is going to actually lock in for Wayless the Diana into Jie. Very practiced on this champion. Is most played in competitive play between IEM and LPL easily. That's a confidence pick.
It really is, and as you said, Wayless loves to do this to people, you know. It's one of Shia's first games in the LPL. Hasn't had too many, so that's not super surprising.
I mean, speaking of too many, I mean, Wayless doesn't have any wins on the Diana. 0-2 on this champion. We all remember the quadra kill he got last week, opening up space. Hasn't actually been translating into wins, though, and they could have taken the Aria, and it just feels like it would have fit the comp that much easier. But, you know, Diana gets going. She does scary things in the mid to late game.
Yeah, Diana Civ is not too bad as we will look through the matchups now. Aluka back with the tank on the top side, and Akon something a little bit different with the Hecarim.
I mean, definitely different. He's been such a mage player, and then maybe throwing in a smattering of Aurelia from time to time. So seeing his Hecarim, see if he has any adjustments in build. Standard jungle matchup, especially with Rek'Sai and Italy banned. This is an interesting one because from level 6, this lane matchup changed. To me, it actually harkens back to the Orianna versus Diana days, where Orianna could use her ranged auto attack till level 6, and then from level 6 onwards, with the Luna Rush Crescent Strike combination, Diana had a lot of kill pressure.
Yeah, last matchup there is Morgana versus Janna. Very passive stuff for the supports, for the AD carries on their supports. So going to be, weirdly enough, babysitting some very short-ranged AD carries.
And Wayless, just to let the viewers know, it's not the teleport, it's not the Gia flavor of teleport mid coming from the Diana. It is the more aggressive Ignite. So you know there's going to be kill pressure from level 6 onwards for the Diana.
Yeah, and again, interesting stuff. So let's get on to the Rift for the first game. And welcome back here for the first game between World Elite and LGD. World Elite over on the blue side for this game. LGD over on the red. The first game of our best of 2. World Elite desperate for some points here as they look towards playoffs. But it is a long road, especially with LGD now in their way.
And it'll be interesting to see whether the new lineup World Elite can scout for a lane swap and execute in one. Maokai, one of the best tank champions at dealing with a lane swap. Akon, he doesn't take the flash. We've already seen OMG prey upon a no-flash Hecarim with early turret taking and then lane swaps coming through. Just abuse the fact that pre-level 6 doesn't have an easy engage or disengage or flash-like summoner. So that's always a consideration. But for now, it's very defensive fanning.
Yeah, just a bit of autos traded back and forth off screen as Mystic going to check some stuff out, hanging in the tri-bush. I have to imagine Graves is reasonably comfortable in the 2v2, so I'm not sure if they want to swap here, but Impulse bottom off and they'll get the first ward.
Again, you'd only be swapping just to have the advantage of Maokai in either a 1v1, 1v0, 2v2 situation. You'd always take the Maokai. Akon will do happy things in a 1v1, but remember, Hecarim doesn't have a ranged auto attack, has the Rampage, which is 200, 300 range, but it's just slightly over the melee range. So the fact that he can't farm or push back a wave in a 1v2 situation means that lane swapping against him, very, very potent.
Yeah, and Aluka is going to start some Raptors, by the way. Probably just take the little ones, given his positioning, and not finish the camp. So he'll have a slight experience advantage, but should walk back towards the top lane here. And yeah, he's just left the Raptors, and they should explode. Goodbye, little people.
Akon's doing something very clever. He hasn't actually spent the gold for the potions on top of his flask, so he might actually go for a cloth armor start and then actually look for a lane swap. He's at least being flexible with his item purchase. As we see, he should be able to navigate this early wolf count. This is what we actually saw Looper do for the first time in the LPL, and now has been adopted by a lot of the top laners.
Yeah, the top laners love to try and get some early jungle experience, so both Aluka and Akon will do so. Aluka going to get half a level and then join his wave, and actually not fast pusher, just going to keep it there and hold it. Akon is level 2 now, though, so we'll teleport with a slight experience advantage.
He didn't buy the potions. Let's see if he actually managed to get a completed item pick to justify not taking the early potions. We'll wait and see what he's trying to justify. In terms of gold, he's stepping onto 325 gold. Just picking up the boots, which of course does scale with his passive. A little bit of extra attack damage, probably only going to be relevant in terms of last hitting under turret. And of course, will scale well into the game.
Yeah, pretty interesting stuff there from Akon, actually. I think behind an experience slightly now after that, as Aluka has been killing creeps and of course, and got a bit of early experience. But as is sort of expected in most Maokai-based lanes, should be a lot of farming.
But interestingly, I mean, the boots, while it does give him the AD, of course, that scales in later into the game. In the early levels, only about 2-3 AD. He didn't go for any combat stats, so he doesn't have a Ruby Crystal or any real tank stats. The cloth armor wouldn't have been that useful in this lane, but no potions, and now just the boots. He's looking even tastier as a potential turret dive target.
Yeah, I mean, does have some flash charges for lane sustain, but you're right, could be a very nice dive, especially for Spirit, who we've seen can be a very potent ganker when he wants to be.
Absolutely. He was just picking up the Scuttle Grab. Was very low, but has gone back, picked up the Rangers Trailblazer for a bit of jungle clear. And the lanes so far, largely uninterrupted. Yeah, Graves slightly ahead there down the bottom, but Imp will catch up there. A matchup, again, he's probably very practiced on. He's played probably some of the best-looking Graves so far in the LPL, so Imp familiar with the champion, of course. But Civic kind of expects to be behind in some of these aggressive matchups, and that's no
That's also true here against Mystic's Graves.
Yeah, both these short-range AD carries are most comfortable under the enemy turret, balancing auto-attack harass and buckshot harass with wave clear, or the bouncing blade and the Q harass coming through from Imp. At the early levels can be outpushed, but once you get 2 points in the queue, hard to outpush the Sivir. So we'll see if this lane stays pushed for the whole laning phase, or whether come level 3, level 4, Imp is able to reset this lane.
Yeah, having a bit of trouble actually for Imp, because he actually missed spell shielded a buckshot there and took a little too much damage. But right now, Graves just going to force him, but Imp should be able to last it, especially with Janus up just fine.
It's when they get that second point, the bouncing blade. Actually, Mystic there.
That Black Shield was sick there. Now the exhaust comes down. They're actually going very deep. The heal pop there as well. Imp is fairly low. Has to be a little bit careful. Mystic, if he's feeling frisky, can flash on top of him, but kind of a back and forth trade there. I think LGD lost.
But all 4 combat stats of combat summoners were used instantly between the members. No flashes, importantly. The Ignite was used by Yuja just for disengage. Didn't want Imp to use the Fleet of Foot passive and try and take advantage of the fact that he would have been overextending the lane. Mystic much closer to the enemy turret than his own. But the result is just a trade of summoners. Spirit's trying to relieve pressure, but Vi is going to find him in this tri-brush.
Yeah, he's actually been waiting, but Spirit will get the jump here with the red buff. He's going to find TBQ. Damage going to come down. Actually, a ward there for Vi just to being put down, but now Spirit going to come in with the damage. Flag and Drag lands as well. UJ going to line up a binding, but is flash there, but the red buff auto still going to apply the slow. TBQ getting very low. Spirit needs a little bit more. PY out there with a shield. Tornado in as well. Q does land, but it's not enough to kill him.
He's trying to follow with the red buff, hoping that the second Dark Binding would hit after the first one missed. No dice. Good coming over by PYL. They know that TBQ has to back, so they're going for very aggressive Dragon.
I actually love this move there from Mortal Elite. Spirit, certainly someone that has such good knowledge of what's going on and just a good sense of innate timing. So this is a great Dragon. Mystic even's going to come in to help out. Imp and Imperial know what's happening, but they're going to be slightly too late.
We're just waiting. The Smite is available, does secure it, and it's 3 members strong, all over half health, so LGD have to back away.
Yeah, UJ had probably just about enough mana for one more binding, but PL and Imp going to back off in the 2v3 situation anyway. So first early Dragon goes to World Elite.
Just watching the top lane with the boots pick up, because he hasn't been harassed, because no dive is coming through. Acorn will hit level 6 before the first big gank comes to top. You see Ping's level 6 now. The fact that he was able to pick up boots and no consumables, just a no consumable start outside of the flask, he's actually going to be kick-started in terms of his way towards his first completed item, and could have a very efficient item build path. So the fact that he's gone and not been punished for the boots could work big for the Hecarim.
Spirit might have been caught out here, actually. Imp's going to find him. Mystic, though, is going to rotate in as well. Flag and Drag going to move in, but a good spell shield there from Imp. Spirit couldn't crack the first shield.
Yeah, PYO was going to rotate, so would have the Janna in support.
He's actually now as well. Mystic taking a little bit too much damage. Does dodge the Q there, but damage coming in. Victor gets the first kill. TBQ answers there with the kill onto Graves, but Chaos Storm now going to come down, doing so much damage for GA. Actually a double kill there for Vi, and a trade as it settles 2 for 2.
Yeah, 2 for 2, because the only mid laner to react was GA. He was the massive member in that fight. The jungle and mid laner, so jungle and AD carry taken down for the AD carry lane. We look at where the gold settles. It all goes to TBQ. Look, it gets him towards 6 in the warrior enchant, but not ideal kill distribution for LGD.
No, and a good chunk of gold there for actually a lot of people from World Elite to spend. Almost 2k now for Victor after those few kills. Spirit actually kickstarted ahead in gold. Pretty even against TBQ, so I guess they both got kills and assists in that situation. So kind of even there, but a lot of gold for them to spend as well. And, Aluka calmly farming in the top as well.
So the top lane has been completely unhindered. Look at that first purchase. Turned the boots that he got into Bootser Mobility, Mercury Tread Home Guard. So already has a lot of global pressure. The fact that World Elite picked up the...
he's ported in already. The Mystic actually going to get ulted now, so it takes a lot of damage, but level 5 Graves quick draws out. Now Aluka with a counter teleport coming in, but Acorn, has already charged away.
And the 1700 gold boot pickup didn't pick up a kill. That's the important thing to know, but he will definitely get to lane faster than Aluka, who's just walking up the map now to answer what's come through from the Hecarim.
And it is such an expensive purchase, Papa Smith, but what do you think of early home guards on Hecarim?
I think it just gives you a lot of flexible gank options, and it really validates the teleport ignite, because of course you get in there with a devastating charge, you can get a massive burst of damage. It doesn't really help you in lane. The combat stats aren't really going to be necessary. The magic resist will help against the Maokai, but if you don't make use of it, it's a 5-minute cooldown, for the teleport. it's situational, but if you make use of it, it can be massive.
Aluka, though, actually now going to catch TBQ off with Spirit. The smite just come down. They get the red buff ult they used by Vi, but Aluka going to get the kill.
I mean, the rotations from Xie has been so on point. He's out-rotated Wayless twice, despite the fact that Diana has hit level 6. They're still fighting in bottom lane.
Yeah, Mystic in trouble. No, Imp, though, doesn't miss the spell shield, but absorbs the binding. Flashes fall. The heal gets used, and Imp gets the first kill. UJ has to run away. Will get away. There's Boomerang Blade does a good chunk of damage, but Imp winning that first 2v2.
Absolutely. In that case, Imp completely outplayed his Korean AD carry compatriot Mystic. We're seeing another trade in mid.
Yeah, Shea pops the Chaos Storm. Wayless gets locked in by the gravity field, and that is quite a lot of damage.
He had registered the Crescent Strike, but got stunned up in the gravity field, so wasn't able to go in and get the assassination kill. Xie lives for to fight another day.
Yep, Akon actually in the top lane now. Was all waiting very patiently here to potentially get some surprise kinks onto Aluka from his own lane, but we'll just sort of give it up. Aluka happily farming with a Catalyst, probably not under too much threat.
Not under too much threat at all. Has by far the regen advantage, even though the Crystalline Flask is available for Akon. CS-wise, 14 CS advantage. It's notable, but it's not considerable for Aluka.
Yeah, the blue buff going to go to Wayless there as well, so Diana will pick that up and move back towards her lane. She's actually been struggling a little bit here, slightly down in CS, but she, like you already mentioned, just so good at rotating with this Victor.
But Wayless, despite picking a combat summoner for lane, has not picked up a team fight item versus Rush to the Stinger, which is usually useful for split pushing. You don't get a lot of auto attacks in a trade against Victor, especially because, of course, he will put down the gravity field. You will get stunned during the duration. Going and spending so much gold on the Nashor's Tooth instead of perhaps the Abyssal Scepter against double AP, he's definitely pigeonholing himself into split push, and it'll be interesting to see who World Elite will send against him.
Yeah, interesting stuff as Akon continuing to last it under turret. Aluka actually done a decent job of pushing him in and ahead on CS there, mainly because Akon left the lane for that early home guard gank. Looking through the rest of the items as well. Warrior done for Spirit after his early kill participation. Not quite yet for TBQ, but has to be pretty close to finishing. A pickaxe there for Siva, and the same there for Graves.
Not too much notable to them, but Mystic's already fallen twice. Maybe that'll be significant. Up the top lane, TBQ is the first to rotate, but Luca not going to take the bait.
Yeah, Maokai again, just a very safe top laner. Had his flash ready to go, so not particularly afraid, but playing very Aluka style, I have to say. You know, very safe, just farming casually.
And you can see the fact that Wayless has been slow to react to team kills, because look at the aggressive pink wards that World Elite have been able to put down. One towards the enemy red buff, one actually above it to spot the jungle pathing. You can see it on the minimap. That's actually very aggressive pink wards to get down. Is in the bot lane.
Yeah, Imp gets locked up, but PWL going to try and disengage. A good binding hits, though. The ultimate actually coming through. I think he got blocked by a spell shield, but still enough damage there. Spirit gets the kill.
Not ideal that Spirit picks up the kill participation, but the binding from UJ was completely on point. Held the spell shield for just too long. Had it for the collateral damage, so the kill credit goes to the jungler, but a nice pickup for World Elite.
Yeah, I have to say, I've been very impressed with Imp's usage of Spell Shield in general. He's saved it from bindings almost exclusively as UJ going to get punched in the face there. Volt Breaker lands ultimate in there as well. He flashes and still dies in the damage of Spirit. Going to look for a tray kill. Mystic coming here, but no ulti. Shie, though, ready to go with his own. TBQ forced to flash away.
TBQ has to flash away, and Dragon had just spawned. It was a wonderful time to pick up a kill on the AD carry. Imp will get close if they try this Dragon, and World Elite, they have to back away.
Shie's early augments here have been really great. I think part of the reason he's been moving quite quickly between lanes is just the Q augment.
I mean, the Q augment, actually, as you mentioned, gives that burst of 30% burst of movement speed. It really helps with the rotations that have been coming through. And I just have to question the build from Wayless. It's definitely a very split push focused build. As a mid laner, if they break a turret and they can just park him in the bottom lane, it could work out strategically, but it's just a strange pickup from the mid as a rush.
Yeah, Luca jumping onto Akon there as well, but just to cancel it back, no real threat there just from the Maokai solo. Early Sorkshu's done for Xie there as well, so kind of continuing the theme, him rotating effectively on this Victor. And we've seen a lot of strong team fight and skirmish Victor, but not a lot of rotational play. And I'm very impressed in the first 30 minutes of the game, just how World Elite's new mid lane has been playing this champion.
And that's why I'm so surprised that Diana is getting out-rotated by a Victor. Whenever you have those reset abilities, like the Crescent Strike, resetting the Lunar Rush cooldown, you're always looking for a skirmish, just like Akali has a very similar mechanic, looking for skirmishes. Wayless been staying in lane and is still behind in CS. As we see a teleport
Yeah,
involved.
Aluka coming down as well. Imp going to get dove there again. Now Aluka coming in, but isn't even needed now as they're going to have the next chase out onto POL. He flashes out safely. The binding has already been used, so POL might be okay. Aluka diving him, but they will give it up.
Yeah, and that should be the Dragon forward lead, although Wayless has rotated this time.
Aluka kind of wants to fight, waiting for the rest of his team here, but the binding does not land. Actually, good flash over Wayless. Follows him, though. Gets the first kill. 3-man E there as well, but Spirit still jumping in. The damage is pretty strong. Wayless does have a lot of damage in melee range, though, but Spirit will take him down.
You can see the value of the Stinger coming through. So many applications of the passive, so much damage coming from that ability. If that fight had gone much longer, it could have looked very hairy for World Elite, but it was a very aggressive Lunar Rush onto 4 members. Picked up a 1-for-1, but World Elite, they'll take the Dragon.
Yeah, they'll take their second there as well. So World Elite looking strong. A slight gold lead here, about 1,000 gold. Acorn looking to equalize that by taking out the top turret here and should be able to get it on Hecarim as the next wave pushes in. But 2 Dragons up for World Elite, looking to snowball that objective.
Yeah, LGD, actually both teams use their teleport. Aluka to get into the fight, Acorn just to get back to lane to start this push. They do answer the objective. Second Dragon for top turret. That's a decent trade, but they just have to be in position and get their ward vision up for the 3rd Dragon.
Yeah, Imp actually working on this turret as well. Sivir, especially at this stage with lots of flat AD, pushes so quickly, so Imp might be able to get another tower. UJ will return to defend it, so should be okay for now. Graves coming back. Similar items here, so again, if we see another big skirmish, Graves probably has to win it in the early stages, and Imp going for the tower does get it.
It's just a bit surreal though, Page Time. 11 kills in 14 minutes. At the moment, the AD carries 0-2-4 and 1-3-2. They've definitely been caught out. Aluka's teleports have been so on point to pick up Imp, overextended twice recently, but the gold is just not distributed towards the AD carries at this point.
No, it's kind of junglers and supports, I guess, that have been picking up. Spirit actually 3-0-3. And TBQ with 3 kills there as well. So has to be for them. You can see the AD carries quite poor, actually. Poorer than both the mid laners and even some of the junglers.
You see what TBQ does with this Ruby Crystal. He's actually very close to being able to pick up a very snowball Aegis, which would be massive for his team, especially because Abyssal wasn't being picked up, and there's the pickup. That's a huge item timing coming through at 15 minutes. Unfortunate for him that the Dragon fight isn't imminent. It's still a few minutes away, because that extra 20 magic resist for all his teammates at 15 minutes would have turned a fight.
It would have here. Xie now level 11 on the Victor with the ulti ready to go. Has got a Fiendish Codex, so probably looking for Merlinomicon here. Very popular mid lane item, but we'll see what he wants to go with it. PYL going to clear out some wards. A good aggressive pink from LGD, giving them some extra vision. And Wayless, hasn't got a tower down yet. Does want to stick in an empty lane because he's finished his Nashos.
But where are they going to park him? That's the question, because he has so much turret damage. It actually forces Xie to flash. Oh, it's a very defensive flash coming through from Xie. Of course, TBQ was showing, does have the Assault and Battery, so you can understand his reticence to be too confident.
Yeah, would have got CC for quite a while there between all the knockups after that ulti. So, does flash instead. Victor, a little awkward when immobile, so he'll have to play quite safe towards his turret. Mystic actually going to come into the mid lane there as well. Maybe even looking to set up a gank here.
It's very quiet, is the... You can see everyone just standing in a spot, but they move away. Imp keeps clearing these lanes, and of course the wave clear coming through from Xie. Just alone, he can match Sivir's wave clear just fine. LGD, they're pushing in aggressively. They want to contest at the enemy red buff.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that they're pushing so deep for vision when Dragon isn't up, but they need a couple picks. They're slightly ahead now, actually, after picking up some of those kills, and 2 turrets especially has really opened up the map. So maybe LGD will start moving Diana down. In fact, Wayless is already here in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Wayless has parked himself in the bottom lane. He has a lot of turret damage, but doesn't necessarily have... Well, he actually has very good defensive wards, so why not go for it? He can, at this point, outtrade perhaps even 1v2 the Graves-Morgana combination, unless he's really hit by both the Dark Binding and the Soul Shackles.
Yeah, and that would explain why LGD wanted to press for aggressive vision in the bottom side, free up space there for Wayless, so congratulations, Papa, you have solved it. Shiano going to try and meet him. PYL and the Janna speeding back and forth, looking for some Magi stacks, actually, and PYL seems to do this almost every Janna game.
Absolutely. I mean, as Janna, you're able to shield up your team, you're able to use the Monsoon, all of these grant you assists. So you're just able to pick up that AP. Scales so well selfishly with AP because, of course, it does scale the W. The Zephyr does give you more selfish Janna movement speed. And all your CC, your shield, your attack damage that you give. Just a very good statistic for Janna. His ability power hard to itemize, but if you get it from the Magi's, you feel good.
Yeah, just don't want to die too many times, but like you mentioned, Janna, pretty Trick, yeah, very safe, certainly here. As we do look down, 80 carries finished their first major items. Infinity Edges are done for both Sivir and Graves, so we'll see where they want to go. We've seen both Sivir and Graves been used in rotational style comps at this stage of the game, and both teams really looking for picks, dragging back up in a minute 50, but nothing really happened in the last few minutes. Been very quiet since that second dragon.
Absolutely has been very quiet. In terms of the top laners, it is going to be the Trinity Force early, but an early an early Spectre's Cowl, just for a bit of cost-effective magic resist. And then, as we've seen very commonly from these Maokai players, not rushing towards Rod of Ages anymore. That's a thing of the past. Not even rushing for the Righteous Glory. Maybe on patch 5.5 when it receives that extra 150 health. Just picking up the Catalyst, option for Righteous Glory later, and then the Glacial Shroud and the Spectre's Cowl for cost-effective armor and magic resistance.
Yep, lots of efficient tank stats there for that big Maokai, who really does want to get towards the late game stage. The Spirit actually EQs in, but immediately it's a Tornado. She are going to come in for a good amount of wave clear, but LGD starting to group quite aggressively.
Only one person who doesn't have Summoner Flash available is Jia. Of course, Akon doesn't have it, but didn't take it in the start of the game. As an immovable mage against potential assassination of Vi, of Diana, going to have to be so safe with his positioning as Jia. It won't be up for the dragon crucially either. LGD, they'll have the timer for that flash. They might want to force, take away that first dragon, and not let World Elite set up for what could be their third dragon.
Yeah, third just kind of starts getting into snowball territory, especially when you don't have one of your own. So 35 seconds for that dragon to come up here. Wayless getting aggressive, wants to contest for this Krog, but Mystic does a good job pulling it back and will secure it for himself.
Wayless just overextended, but as we've mentioned, PYO has been so on point, putting down the wards, even aggressive pinks, which are being cleared now. The aggressive pinks we talked that World Elite had placed early in the game, completely cleared out, no vision at all. Actually, still the one pink that we see on the screen, just to spot jungle pathing. That could be there the whole game, so what a great use of 100 gold coming through. But the answering pinks now being cleared. Still good vision for Wayless. He can happily push down the bottom.
Yeah, Spirit actually has an upgraded sweeper as well, so able to clear vision quite effectively. Gets that next one as well, defending the World Elite pink ward in that brush. Yeah, going to come back in, clear out some waves with the Victor death ray there. Again, Victor's wave clear absolutely phenomenal as far as mid lane champions go. And Mystic now level 11. That's a crucial timing there. And the other thing as well, TBQ already finished his locket.
TBQ has a locket, like you mentioned, against a double AP, even triple AP if you count Morgana. That's going to be a massive statistic. Going for the Snowball team build is TBQ, and it could be massive if he stays in range of the lock. Of course, with a Salt and Battery, you can sometimes travel very, very far. Yeah,
don't want to be too far away, but LGD are aggressively starting their first dragon here. Spirit going to come in, wants to seal it, but can't get in range. Siva will actually secure it. A bit of an early smite there, but LGD, they do get their first one.
Yeah, Spirit didn't use his smite. There was the early smite, as you mentioned. World Elite early rotated onto this mid turret. They will be able to pick it up. That's an excellent trade for World Elite with no kill credit going to either team. And the push is on in top as well.
They're actually still going. Aluka can make it down, of course, but once the outer turret, he's going to teleport down instead straight onto the minion aggressively. World Elite really want this tier 2 turret, but Imp's moving around. So Aluka going to jump in on top of him, though. But there's the ulti coming through for Akon. Mystic doing good damage, picks up TBQ, and now Akon going to take some damage. Death Ray ripping through everyone from LGD. Aluka jumps on top of him. Wayless, though, trying to leapfrog through the backlines and doing good damage as well. It's been a massacre so far. Aluka going to be the next one. Jumped on 3 for 3, but Wayless might look to make it a kill tipped in LGD's favor. Aluka is going to go down. A Wayless just went off.
The consistent damage in a long fight. If you do not explode Wayless, you die with all the auto attacks coming through. Went back, finished the Sorcerer's Shoes and another Blasting Wand. You need to focus this Diana. She's still very inherently tanky with her shield. And if you cannot burst her early, you see what happens in a long, drawn-out fight.
Yeah, and LGD's initiators were actually pretty squishy to all of the upfront Graves damage. So both TBQ and Akon died quite quickly, but bought enough time there. Imp actually lived for a little too long there in that fight, and then Wayless just played janitor.
And the scary thing is, though, if Wayless ends a fight alive, he's probably got 2 or 3 kills, but he's also going to take structures really, really fast. Diana passive, applying to turrets with all the Nashor's Tooth attack speed means she powers down objectives. You can see it. She's a very good jungler too, if you don't notice the fact that she has no gank pressure before 6. But when it comes to farming the jungle, does it instantly.
Does it very well. And Mystic actually might get chased here. Good quick draw around, but Till's too much damage coming in. Wayless just destroying poor Graves there and just jumps on him with the ulti.
And that's with missing the Crescent Strike to get the Lunar Rush reset. Just used it for the assassination kill. Dark Binding hits, but will Jia be able to close the distance?
He's trying to get in there, needs the Q to land. Death Ray going to come in as well. Good flash from Wayless will keep him safe, and GA cannot keep up.
By taking the flash, that's at least the minimum for World Elite. They cannot afford for this mobile assassin who's now going to go back and spend 2,300 gold. Abyssal Scepter available if he wants it. LGD using all the pressure taken to bottom to take the blue buff. This is why the split push looks great from Diana, because they're doing a lot with the fact that multiple members are being drawn to the bot side of the map.
And you mentioned it already about LGD in the draft, actually. Just fantastically looking team when they're rotating effectively and using Wayless a little bit different. He's played a lot of different champions, certainly, but on this Diana with a death cap now, actually. Didn't want the Abyssal Scepter you suggested.
See, I love the Abyssal Scepter and Zhonya's just because, again, she has that shield which scales with AP, and then because it's a health statistic, it scales with armor and magic resist in terms of defensive stats. But, of course, you get more shield with AP, and damned if you don't do more damage.
Yeah, well, it's definitely someone that likes to do big damage on his mid laners here. And he's done a great job. You already saw Mystic is going to start having problems with this Diana, even if she doesn't get the reset on the ulti. UJ actually looking for Schwen, will land the binding, but Q actually coming through. Wayless going off there now as well. Will back off a bit. The ulti pop there by Morgana. TBQ diving in on top. Spirit solo, and Akon ripping through. Shie does get the kill. Spirit going to go down to Imp as well. TBQ doesn't have an ulti, but PYL's flashed over to try and chase down Aluka. Q's still missing, but Wayless will dive back in. A great flash Q pass to lock him up, and that's a third kill. Make it 4 for LGD.
World Elite's gank brush went horribly wrong when they found Diana there. This could actually be the Baron. They have a lot of Baron damage, and even the Diana can tank it for a long, long time. Graves is going to try and answer with the mid turret, to be honest. That's the most that you could ever expect coming through from Mystic Baron, the most opportunistic of collateral damage Baron steals. He'll need to get away, though.
TBQ did die there, but Imp will stay here apparently to secure the Baron. Going to take him a while, but Mystic too far away to entertain a collateral damage steal, and Imp does secure it.
So there's going to be some choice words coming through from TBQ that everyone decided to move away from the Baron. Dies to the burst of damage coming through from the very angry purple monster. But 4 Baron buffs being available, Imp's going to start pushing out the waves. LGD, if they don't break the base with this Baron buff, maybe enough gold will be built onto World Elite to start to hit some of their power spikes. So they're definitely in the dust of Wayless, who's got so many items already on the Diana.
I mean, that gank brush just was so awkward because Mystic was busy farming another lane. They started it, tried to get a pick, and they were the ones who got trapped, and now Wayless coming down. He looks so scary.
I was about to say, with the aggressive, I think he was actually licking his lips at potentially a double kill, but Jia coming onto the screen means he's going to have to back away.
Yeah, going to play a little bit safely. They will get another turret, so good rotations for World Elite to get a bit of turret damage down and get some gold off the map as well. After the Baron buff done for LGD, but you have to think just a couple shops going to be completed. Trinity Force done for Akon now as well. Mikhail's finished up for POL. World Elite are taking what they can while they can, but that won't last for long. And Wayless does dive in for his blue buff, but Akon goes in. TBQ with a great flank there onto Mystic, and he just gets destroyed. Now Akon diving in the back as well. Spirit's going to be the next target and does go down. And Wayless just destroys the Victor with a double kill. And that's an ace here as well. Aluka won't survive for too much longer, and LGD winning so hard.
A perfect ace for LGD. And what was the massive factor there, pastry time? It was the Terrify coming through after the Hecarim ult. It's a very positional-based World Elite comp. Graves a short-range AD carry. Jia is control mage at short range. Both of them having to flee away. And in all the chaos, Diana was doing so much damage in a massive AoE, both from the passive and the Crescent Strike. LGD wrecked through World Elite's positional team comp, and they're going to take at least an inhibitor.
Yeah, these turrets will melt here between Imp's damage and Wayless's passive on Diana. So they are going to, even Akon doing respectable damage with the Trinity Force, and LGD in 26.5 minutes have taken so much of World Elite's base.
And Diana coming through to Wayless. I thought it would be the Ahri. I thought the Ahri was the more reliable choice. But when you're this strong on Diana, now picking up the Void stuff, don't need any of those armor or magic resist statistics if Akon can be so on point with his ultimates. And look, as a seasoned Cannon player, a seasoned Rumble player, he finds his spots so well, and he showed us why he's so respected as a rotational top laner, because he's doing his job. Despite not having the tank statistics, it doesn't matter when you hit the picture-perfect onslaught of Shadow.
Yeah, I'm actually curious that Akon wanted to go for the aggressive Trinity Force. Jesus, Wayless does damage. That dragon just got melted.
Diana's passive does
really
a lot of damage.
It does, especially with this build that Wayless has his Imp. Gonna pop his ulti, POL Does get ulti there by Shia, but Akon again, another great flank. Wayless gets the first kill, and Victor already dead. Akon hasn't even popped his ulti, does use it, but UJ does flash away. Now Aluka going to be the target coming in. Twisted Advance gets used, but Wayless is hungry for more blood. Aluka getting chased down. Akon using a devastating charge, going to lock down the Maokai Q. Will hit him, but he doesn't quite die, but it got close.
There's just no item timings World Elite can hit to match what LGD have. I give so many props to TBQ in particular. Using all that extra gold, I said, oh, it's not ideal kill distribution. But against a triple AP comp, getting such a snowball Aegis gave them the option to fight these fights, especially Wayless, who hasn't itemized for resist, but there's the Assault and Battery.
Yeah, Mystic going to get ulted there. Akon around the side again. Wayless coming in. Is actually snared up by now, so can't Luna rush in, but does go over there. Now onto Mystic and just ripping through him so far. Even though going to run in and will flash forward for the kill. Wayless still alive somehow, and Diana so many shields and 3 quick kills for LGD.
The shields, the selfish shields, but also the shields coming through from Jana, doing so much work. 2 members still alive. Decent wave clear from Jia, but he has to back away and actually has to protect the Nexus turrets.
Yeah, Super Minions doing work here in LGD. Going to go through another inhibitor. Remember, between the Diana and the Sivir, they melt like butter, and LGD might just take the rest of the base. Not interested in maybe a 3rd inhibitor. First Nexus turret falls down. 2nd will go through as well. And what we talked about it. They need the points. Wayless explodes for Shia, and that's game.
A Crescent Strike passive and a Luna Rush instantly killed Jia. Wayless on the Diana. Maybe Ari was the more conservative pick, gave ranged wave clear, but when you play Diana like that, and who better than Jia to judge a Diana player? A+ is what I score Wayless for his performance this game. Man, he finally made the Diana work. Took 3 games, but when he made it work, he looked pretty damn good.
Yeah, he saw Jia there at the end as well. Not happy that he got 3-shot by Diana at the end of that game, and kind of thinking, you know what, hey man, that's my champion. What are you doing to me?
The irony was not lost on Jia, that's for sure. So we're going to jump to a replay, and I somehow expect that we're going to see plenty of Diana damage come in this fight. That was all of them, Pastry Time, to be honest. I thought, okay, with the Nationals too, he's going to have to pick the right fight. But with the extra resist coming through from the Aegis, he could be so aggressive in his positioning. And look, it's Wayless. He was going to be aggressive in his positioning to begin with. So this is a contest down at the enemy blue coming through from World Elite. Remember, this is World Elite positioned aggressively. We'll roll the tape. 3,000 gold lead, and most of that's on the Diana. But just wait for the huge onslaught shot. This is Home Guard boots into a 4-man Terrify. Everyone cannot react. Jia's in a good spot, but the consistent damage coming through from Wayless in the front line saves his Luna Rush to take down Jia. He's still doing so much damage. He's basically full health, topped off by all the shields. Aluka, he lives a while. He's very tanky on the Maokai, but no one's tanky to a death cap at that point. Just the death cap Nationals Tooth. 20-minute Diana.
Yeah, Diana looked amazing there. I wonder if she is going to take it into the next game, but World Elite have to think some stuff over if they want the split. Our second game between LGD and WE will be coming up right after this.